Okay, welcome back. This is Tom again, and today we're going on to lesson 6. Boy, we're almost there. And today's lesson is we're going to be talking about the threats to sea turtles and why some of them, 6 out of our 7 different species of sea turtles, are endangered, and some of them are critically endangered. We don't have enough information about the flatbacks, but they probably are not in great shape either compared to all the other species. So anyways, I think I'm going to start here, and let's see how this goes. Okie doke. Okay, lesson number 6, and we're going to talk about the threats to sea turtles and why they're endangered, and some critically endangered. There are very few left. So let's start. Okie doke. First of all, lots of turtle hurdles out there. Right now, out of the leatherback sea turtles, they're estimating 1 turtle, 1 hatchling is surviving to adulthood out of 1,000 turtles. Hatchlings out there will survive to adulthood, and that's very scary. Okay, and the reason being is there's many dangers out there to the hatchlings, like even before they're born, when they're in the nest, raccoons, coyotes, dogs, pigs, and even jaguars in certain parts of the world can dig them up and eat the eggs, plus humans. It's a delicacy in certain parts of the country to eat turtle eggs and actually eat the meat of turtles. Okie doke. And when they're racing, when they get out of the nest, as you saw before with the hatchlings racing to the water's edge, it's really scary because there's a lot of birds coming down, there's crabs eating them, and this is really devastating to our hatchlings, where their lifespan can be like 1 second. As soon as they come up out of the nest, they can be picked off by a bird or crab and things like that. Okie doke. And then once they get to the water's edge, it's a long journey ahead. There's a lot of dangers out there. It's all sorts of things, like sharks are one of their main predators. There's fishing nets, bycatch, and marine debris, as we're going to be talking about, illegal trade. People are killing turtles to make jewelry out of them, things like that, which we'll talk about. And excessive sewage, which is nutrients getting out there, fertilizer, oil spills, and even humans over-harvesting the prey that they feed on. And ocean plastic garbage patches. So our oceans, all of our oceans are showing up with garbage patch, which we'll talk about. Okay, so let me keep on. So this was my first encounter with a leatherback sea turtle. And this is when I was doing my graduate work at Moss Landing Marine Labs. Now, my background was more with marine mammals. I studied the feeding ecology of humpback whales off the Gulf of the Farallones and Cordell Banks sanctuaries, just outside of San Francisco area. But there's a leatherback that showed up right at Moss Landing Beach. And it was like right in our backyard there, and it was still alive. And I couldn't believe it, but it was a male. It had a really long tail. And again, males we never see on land unless they're sick. And this poor turtle was sick. And all of a sudden it took 1 gasp of breath, and then it just died in front of our eyes. And we wanted to determine why it died. We had people coming from all over the world, not all over the world, but some flew in, like veterinarians and biologists wanted to see this turtle. So we had to move it to an area to do a necropsy, which is a dissection. We wanted to find out, why did this turtle die? And so we needed to use a forklift to move it around. And this was a huge turtle. I mean, just look at the size of this turtle. And it actually wasn't even, it was 6 feet, about 5.5 feet. And again, they can get up to 7 feet and weigh up to 1 ton in weight, 2,000 pounds. And again, it was just a huge turtle. This notch out of its flipper could have been from a gill net, the nets, which we're going to show you and talk to you about. That is where they can get tangled in nets, and then they can't come up to the surface and breathe, and they drowned. And so this was a big turtle. And so it didn't take any experts to determine the cause of death. When we actually chiseled down, it took like 5 of us to actually lift the turtle over on its back. And then we chiseled into the belly region right here, and we cut open and we could look inside the body. It's huge hearts. Oh my gosh, the hearts was huge, and the lungs were just huge, all down inside his body. And these turtles, you know, it looked really healthy inside until we cut into the stomach. And I could not believe inside the stomach, because this turtle, its stomach was just packed with all of this plastic. It just was totally packed. 6-pack rings, mylar balloons, even regular balloons, lightweight plastic bags were in its stomach. And it didn't take any experts to identify the cause of death. This turtle died from plastic pollution, and it choked to death, and it basically starved. It couldn't get any more food in its system. That plastic just clogs its system. Great Pacific garbage patch is the largest of all of our garbage patches, but we are finding garbage out there in all of our oceans right now, which is very scary. And in the Pacific Ocean, it's thought to be 2 times the size of Texas. And that's how big of an area it is. And these gyres, I think the ocean is trying to heal itself, because the gyres that circulate around are actually forcing, it's like a vortex, it forces all of that plastic into the oceans. And this is maybe helpful, and we're going to be learning about things about what people are doing in lesson 7, but there is hope that we might be able to clean up some of that garbage and hopefully have cleaner oceans, because we'll talk about plastic being little sponges taking in all the toxins. But sea turtles, you know, they're swimming across, but are they going right through the garbage patch? This is what Scott's been identifying with satellite tags and seeing where they're going. They're also, when they migrate back to their breeding grounds. Okay, so some islands, this is Sea Turtle Beach, and it's in Indonesia. And this is Dr. Wallace Nichols, famous turtle biologist. And these are some of the things that are going on. This is what the beach looks like. That's how much litter shows up. It just, all the waves and currents just wash it up on the beaches. And so it's pretty devastating, okay? And you know, turtles, they can't see the difference. We can see the difference. We can see if it's a jellyfish versus a plastic bag, but turtles have a hard time seeing the difference. Plus, plastic tends to grow algae on it, and it starts smelling like food. So it's very confusing to our turtles. And that's the thing. And again, look at their throat. The spines. This is an adaptation for feeding on jellies, not plastic. If they feed on a plastic bag, they have to swallow it. And I've seen turtles with big plastic bags coming out the other end, but at least they are, you know, passing it through their system. And again, this is what the throat looks like. The spines are projected downward. But as soon as they bite on, they have all these features, these adaptations for collecting the slippery jellies, but one bag can kill a turtle, and usually it gets clogged between the base of the throat and the stomach. It's like a cork. And one bag can just clog up their digestive system where they starve to death. And think of this, they're feeding on 100 jellies in an hour, almost their body weight of jellies in a day. They can't, and that's why this poor turtle showed up on the beach. And it was witnessing that. It was really sad to see that, that we as humans actually killed this turtle. So these are some of the threats that they're facing. Also, there's oil pollution. Oil pollution is a serious threat. And so this is, there was a big oil spill we'll talk about in a second, but what happens with all that oil, this is a poor Kemp Ridley turtle covered in that frothy, foamy oil. And luckily, my friend was there in the blue gloves, and Wallace Nichols, and he was able to collect that turtle, clean up, get all the oil off, and then he released it into a cleaner habitat where, and put a satellite tag, and actually it survived. But many turtles die. And when oil companies are embarrassed about all that oil at the surface and they try to burn the oil at the surface, do you know how many hatchlings were killed? This is an oil spill that happened in the Gulf of Mexico, the Deep Horizon oil spill of 2010. And my friend, who's a captain, took these pictures, but this is when it started going down. There was a big explosion, and over a month, 3-month period or so, 210 million gallons of oil came out of that. This was the worst, the largest environmental disaster in American history that we've ever faced. And so many turtles were dying. And in fact, a lot of baleen whales are showing up dead now. 10 years later, we're seeing baleen whales and dolphins, because of oil is very toxic, and getting that into your system, they can die from, it's poison to them. So these are some of the threats to our sea turtles. Okay, also, there is problems with us liking shiny things, and we will actually go to other countries, and they are still killing turtles to make jewelry from their shells. And this is a bracelet made of probably hawksbill turtle. And these are earrings and rings and things like that. And also humans will eat the meat and sell the meat. And the eggs, as I said before, they'll barter and sell those eggs as way of currency and money that they need. But this was devastating. This was over in Asia, across our oceans. And this captain, they found over 300 dead hawksbill turtles. These are all hawksbills. And you can see they have a rope around the neck for a particular reason. These are not alive. Now, because of the Endangered Species Act, these are protected turtles. And that captain was actually put in jail. He was in jail for over 4 months. He was fined heavily. And his crew was deported, but his boat was taken away. I mean, this is illegal. It's against the law, but it's really hard to catch these illegal poachers. We call it poaching, where they're doing illegal things to collect shells. And we're going to see why that hunter basically put a rope around the neck to pull the neck back in our display here, where we're going to show you some taxidermied sea turtles, and we're going to show you some of the jewelry and things like that. So let me break here again to our station. Okay, from that last slide about the 300 plus hawksbill turtles that captain killed, and he was caught, but it's really hard to catch our posters. You can see what the captain, why he had a rope around the neck. They want the neck tilted back because on the belly, they'll actually take it to a taxidermist with all those 300 dead turtles. He would have taken it and they would have cut open. You can see the stitching right here. And they actually took out all the smelly stuff. In fact, those are not real eyeballs. Those are marbles that we were talking about before. And then they stitch it all back together. Then they put a lot of shiny stuff that is playing with my screen here. But And all that shiny stuff draws attention to them at international fairs around the world. And lo and behold, what had happened is someone bought this from the United States in another country and tried to bring it back into the United States across our border, and it was confiscated. It was taken away. As I said before, we have these under a permit, and through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And so our job is to educate you when you are traveling with your families to other areas. Please do not buy these things, because as soon as we buy these things from these people, they'll actually they'll go out and kill more turtles to get money. It's the same thinking of killing a rhinoceros for its horn, an elephant for its tusk. This has got to stop, especially with endangered species, because they are protected by law, but it's really hard to catch the illegal poachers. And we call them poachers because they're doing illegal things. They shouldn't be killing them, and they should be fined. So, as I said before, I didn't tell you, but this green sea turtle has a hook as well, and you can see where it was rubbing against the wall right here. Well, this turtle someone bought in another country as well, and tried to bring it back to the United States, and it was taken away. Their money is not given back. So really it's important for you all to know and spread the word to your parents when you are traveling to other places. But I really do like looking at this turtle, because you can see the green turtle with its green neck, because they're the vegetarians and feeding on grasses, and that's why they call them a green sea turtle. But because they shine things up, it is a very appealing to us humans. And but we really can encourage this. This is how we encourage poaching if we continue to buy these things. So that's why the law is trying to protect them. Okie doke. So I'm gonna just put this guy up here a little bit. So, and remember what I said before about the hawksbill turtle having the hardest shell of all because it's eating sponges that are made of glass? Well, believe it or not, these turtles are prized to make jewelry out of it. And so you saw the picture earlier of all the jewelry made from turtle shells. They go after the hawksbill, because think of this, the glass that they're eating out of the sponges, it makes them have a really hard silicate glass shell. What a great adaptation for protecting them from sharks. But what a problem it is when we are, humans are the main predators there. So, hawksbill turtle. And I do have some jewelry. This is where people have actually bought jewelry, and they bought various barrettes, combs, earrings, bracelets. These are all made from a hawksbill turtle, and someone bought them in another country, and when they tried to bring it back to the United States, they were taken away from them. Their money was not given back because this is illegal. We have to be watching for this. In the old days, your parents might have had some, but that's when sea turtles were plenty and they weren't listed as endangered. But once they're listed as endangered, we have to protect them. Also, they take a look out for shoes. This is turtle skin here, you can see. So that actually is turtle skin right here. And so shoes people have bought, and they didn't realize they were made out of an endangered species of turtle. Plus, these are country western boots, and this is all turtle skin. So you have to be careful on what you buy. And then someone bought this beautiful purse. This is all turtle skin though. And they even put an endangered little Cayman alligator on there. So it kind of straps around the back. And yeah, this is beautiful, but we cannot be killing our turtles. I mean, they're going to go extinct. There won't be any more. So that's why there's laws protecting them. And that's why you have to be careful in what you buy in other countries, because it might be taken away. So it's not just oil pollution, plastic. There's just so many threats to them out there. And as I already said before, our balloons, which we'll be talking about in our next lesson, with the various threats to sea turtles. So I think that's it. And we are going to be going back to the slides and looking at what we can do to help. Okay? Okay, we're back. And lesson 7 is next. And we'll be discussing what we can do to help protect our sea turtles. And I'm going to tell you already, there is hope.